Good morning and welcome back, South Bend. I am Allison Schlopel, coordinator of digital integration, and I'm here with Tara and Chase. I can hear myself echoing on one of your computers. If you can just let us know that you can hear us and see us in the chat, it would be greatly appreciated. We'll give you just a second to just say yes, no. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Logsden. Did you have a good winter break? If you see me looking into the side, that's where all the comments are. So I'm trying to read the comments, make sure I can see you, things like that. So we will record this session and you can find it at the same link afterwards in case you want to go back and review anything or you missed something or anything along those lines. So it will be there. I hope everyone had a great winter break. We're going to cover archive. Did you lose power, Mr. Logsden? Is that why your last 3 days were brutal? I live in Osceola. I never lost power, so I'm thankful that I didn't. So happy New Year, Mrs. Stamper. Good morning. We are going to cover archiving your old Google Classrooms, creating your new ones, adjusting those settings, getting those manually rostered for you. And then we are also going to just answer some Google related questions that you have. So keep those coming in the chat. Tara and Chase are just going to kind of pop in and pop out. So this isn't going to be super formal. We're just going to kind of have a chat and help us all transition to semester 2 after this lovely snow day. I feel like I'm back in school with an actual snow day and not any learning day. So except I'm here working. So that's different. But so to access Google Classroom, you all know you can go to classroom.google.com and that'll take you to all of your classrooms. You can also, my screen's too big. You can also go to your waffle. Sorry, I'm trying to get my screen the right size. There. You can also go to your waffle. Oh no. At least you're in a building. At least you're in a warm building, hopefully. You can go to your 9-dot waffle and go to Classroom that way as well. It will take you to this same page. Your classes are going to look different than mine. I'm a student in some and a teacher in some, so I have a few here. We're first going to start by archiving our semester 1 classes. So this homeroom class I'm going to archive it. Archiving your classrooms means that you won't see it anymore. Your students won't see it on this homepage anymore, but you can still access the work inside of it. And we'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. But to archive your classes, to make this front page a little easier, a little clearer, you click on these 3 dots of the classroom that you want to archive. And remember, once you archive it, you and your students won't be able to see it anymore. You can just go to archive and it'll ask you, are you sure? And you'll say archive. And then as you can see, it goes away. It will also go away from your students' pages that look similar to this. In order to find those archived classes, if you need something out of them, you can always go to this 3 lines in the upper left and scroll down to your archived classes. And you will see all of your archived classes. So there's that homeroom class again that I just archived. And you can still get into it and see everything and take assignments out of it and things like that. And we'll also show you, even after you archive a class in your Google Drive, all of the assignments and student work will remain there as well. So for that, if let's say a student turned something in and you need to grade it today, you can go to your drive, and I already have it open, but you can go to your waffle and click on drive. And you'll have a folder in there called Google Classroom Assignments, or it might automatically default to just Google Classroom. And then inside of that folder, you will have all of your classes. There's a folder for each class individually. If I click on homeroom, because that's the class I just archived, I can still see other assignments that I had in there. We did something about moving to the beat, dancing. There's a quiz in here that we apparently tried to make, but all the student assignments would be in there as well. Again, that is in your that's in your Google Drive underneath a folder that's going to maybe be called Google Classroom, maybe be called Google Classroom Assignments. I can't remember if I changed the name or not, if I renamed it myself.
Mine is just called Classroom. So you may see it just listed as Classroom as well, depending on how, Google changes all the time. So depending on when you started using Google Classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So again, that is archiving. That just makes it a little easier to navigate this homepage, makes it a little less cluttered, and it will also direct your students to the correct course, the correct classroom, because they won't see their semester 1 courses anymore if you archive it. So once you're done archiving your semester 1 classes, you can go ahead and create your new ones. You do that by joining a class in the upper right-hand corner, or creating a class, I'm sorry, clicking that plus button and create class. And then you can just name it whatever you want. Algebra 1, period 1. It's up to you. And then in the section, I'm using Mr. Logsdon as my example just because I saw him on here. We recommend putting in your name so that any other evaluators or DIS or anybody that you add to it can see who the teacher is. And you can make the name with whatever you want, whatever will be beneficial for you and your students. And then you'll click create. And it'll take a minute to create. And while it does that, Miss McCarty, elementary teachers, it's up to you if you want to do this. There's some pros and cons to it. If you are running out of room, like for topics, and you're having a bunch of different topics and a bunch of different pages and things like that, it may be easier to create a new one. I know some elementary schools have asked their teachers to do so, and some are leaving it up to the teachers. And so I think that's an administration question, first and foremost. But I also, if your administration leaves it up to you, I think it's just a preference.
And from the parent perspective, it might be something that you'll want to think about, because as that Google Classroom gets more and more full, it does take time to load. And especially with some of our younger elementary students, of course, all of our students, but our wait time, our patience, we're so used to things instantaneously loading. So that might be something else, just to kind of give them a fresh start, something that loads a little bit more quickly as well.
Thanks, Tara. So once you have your classroom created, you can do all the fun things of selecting a theme, changing the background, like that little header. You can upload a photo and things like that. You can do all of that fun stuff. One thing I suggest is adjusting your settings. In that upper right-hand corner, you see the gear. That's where you adjust your classroom settings. And again, you can change those names if you want. You can manage the invite codes. You want an invite code, more than likely. You have your invite link. You can change your class view. The most important, however, I believe is the most important, is the stream, and where you decide if you want students to be able to post and comment on your front page of your Google Classroom. I personally always took mine to only teachers can post or comment on the stream, so that you didn't have students commenting and on that front page. But as a teacher, that is up to you. You can also do classwork on the stream, showing the attachments and the details. You can show deleted items. I would definitely turn on the Guardian Summaries because you may have parents who want that. Parents can sign up for Guardian Summaries, and that allows them to get an email once a week, I believe. And it tells them what their students have completed and haven't completed. Tara, do you have more?
Yeah. So what's great about that is any parent email that is linked to the student automatically comes into your Google Classroom. So once one teacher, it doesn't matter who that teacher is, enters that parent email, it's connected to that student's account. So just by flipping that on, you're going to see once you start rostering your Google Classroom that there's already going to be Guardian emails. There's nothing that you do as a teacher beyond entering the email. So if a student does not have a Guardian email attached to their account, then you can input that email and it will provide that Guardian email for all of the Google Classrooms that student has. But it's up to the Guardian to set up their preferences. So they could receive it, I think, once a week. I think there might be a monthly review. There's different settings that they can choose. And again, this allows them to see their students' work. So upcoming assignments, perhaps, things that they may have missing, but it does not let the Guardian into the Google Classroom. Only students can be in that Google Classroom beyond teachers.
So we recommend definitely turning that on in case you do have parents wanting that email. We also recommend if you generate that Meet link to make sure that it's there. Remember, you can turn it on and off when it's visible to students. Remember, we encourage using this Meet link for all of your meets because it is a secure link. You can change it at any time if you do feel you can reset it. If you do feel that students are accessing it at inappropriate times. And you can turn it on and off underneath the settings to make it visible to students or not. So that is up to you. The grading we don't really worry about because, as you all know, our official grade book is Powerschool and Power Teacher. So any grading that you do in Google Classroom, if you want it to be part of their official grades and GPA and things like that, it also needs to be transferred back into Power Teacher. Don't forget to click Save in the upper right-hand corner so all of your settings save. And as you can see, the Meet link is there for you because I turned it on to be visible to students. The next thing is going to People. And this is where you'll invite your co-teachers, your evaluators, your DIS if they ask you or if you want your DIS to be there. So that's up to you. I am going to make Chase a teacher. So I just start typing his name in there and there he is. So I will click it and invite him as a teacher. I would also do this, like I said, maybe your evaluator wants you to add them or co-teachers who you want in there as a teacher, etc. After you add your teachers, this is when you start to invite your students. And it's the same exact thing. You click on this Invite Students, and you can type a name or an email. So I'll show an example, but then Tara is going to show a different way to do this. So if I want Tara, I can start typing Tara's name, and I can find her, and that I invite her. Why won't it let me invite you, Tara? Weird. Well, we're gonna invite Seth too. Maybe I need to invite more than one person. Nope. Well, usually this will highlight and let you invite students. So I'm not really sure why it's not letting me right now.
Try Mariella. Put Mariella in there.
Okay.
See if maybe it's
little Mariella. Look at her. Look at her.
See if I will invite her. Click in. hit enter real quick.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah. Weird, of course. You have to have a technology issue always, right?
Right.
So we'll see what happens. We'll just keep on going and maybe.
Well, I'll jump over to Powerschool, and so I'll share the screen, and then if you want to play around with that.
Yes. So I need to stop sharing my screen. Hold on.
Yep. Right. So, Mr. Ferra, like we have my daughter who is a student. So we tried her. Something must be going on, but Allison will fix it. So I just want to show you guys another way that you can roster. So I come from the secondary world, and we have, typically 6 classes with 30 people. So I know that can get kind of like, it can take time to roster. So one way that you can do this is to pull your list from Powerschool. So I'm going to share my screen with you. All right. Can you guys see this okay? Let's see. So in Unified Classroom or in Powerschool, when you are in Classroom, or you go to classroom.powerschool.com, so you're inside Unified Classroom on the teacher side.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I have to let your screen in.
Oh.
It also, I refreshed my page and it let me. There you go. Now they can see your screen.
Great, thank you. So once you're in Unified Classroom, you can pull a report of your students' name and ID numbers. I found that it was really helpful to find my students' emails with their ID numbers. So to do that, you're going to go to Analysis, and you're going, sorry, I have to because I don't have a current class right now. Let me go ahead and change my view. So again, you can choose to change your view by choosing your class menu. I'm going to go back to another year, and you can choose between semester 1 and 2. So if you can't see your semester 2 classes, you may want to try viewing them this way. So I'll just start with semester 1, and I will choose this class. And I'll go to Analysis and click on Reports. And so I want to choose the Student Roster Report. This student roster report will allow you to pull individual information in a really helpful either PDF or a spreadsheet, like an Excel or a spreadsheet format. Let's see if that lets me. There we go. Wow, we're having a lot of tech problems.
I'm sorry, there you go.
Okay, and so here on this page, as you guys know, when you pull this report, what you can do is choose what columns you want on that report. And so the default is name, but you can also add other columns. So what you can add would be, you can see there's birth date, gender, grade level, home phone, and then there should be this ID. So here what I'm going to have on there, let's see, is I would have that column that would say ID, and it's going to add it to the bottom. You can also, just so you guys know, add other contact columns. So I have the student name and the student ID. I can also add, if I wanted to, blank columns just by clicking on that add button. I'm going to click Run Report. And then once that has been put into the queue, I'm going to click View Reports at the bottom. And you'll see that I have a list of the different rosters that I have run, or the different reports I have run. So then you will click on the actual link, and it will take you to a PDF that has your students' names and their ID numbers listed. When you are running a report or creating a report, you can choose to make it as a PDF. That's the default. But if you go back into your report section and you go to the format section at the top, so not the criteria, but the format tab, and I'll show you that as soon as it loads.
Uh-oh. Are we back?
No. Well, There we go. So I'm going to go back into my student roster. We're having a slow tech day today, you guys.
We're just happy to be here. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, at the very top, there is a format tab that's next to criteria. And it will allow you to export this into like an Excel format or like what you could use with Google Sheets. So right here in format, when you click on that, you can choose the output. Do you want it as a PDF or do you want it as an Excel? Now, when you switch these settings, they will save. So this will be set as Excel. When you export that, you'll get an Excel file and you can upload that into your Google Drive. So when you upload it into your Google Drive, let's go ahead and grab this one. All right. Guess I didn't pull that out. There we go. Okay. You're going to get something that looks like this with the student last name. It will be with commas. So you can split that information by highlighting the column. When you click on data, you can split the text to columns. And then you can have their first name and their ID number. If you want more information about how to blend these two together, I will share with that at the very end. But basically, you can take their name and their ID number, and you can blend them together and copy and paste that into your Google Classroom. Or you can just take that PDF that was generated. Let me show you right here. And if you have your screen set with this PDF open and you split your screen, then you can just look at the student's name and the ID number and type their first name and their ID number.
So again, this will be recorded so that if you want to go back and watch that slower or do it step by step, it will be always on YouTube. So I am going to, and I'm sorry that I scoot over. I can't see the whole screen, so I had to like scoot over a little bit. To answer a couple questions that I saw, Mr. Logsden, while you can't import necessarily PowerSchool emails, you can add more than one person at a time. So for example, if I want to add Tara and Mariella, I can add the whole group, and then I can find Mr. Logsden, and I can find Seth Ponder, and I can find where'd Miss Vorty go? There she is, Mrs. Vorty. And then I can invite everybody at once. So again, if you do this the way Tara just showed, you can copy paste. You can find all of them in there that way as well. So yeah, just make sure you have the correct student name with the correct ID number. That's going to be the double checking.
Yeah, and if you're pretty good at Excel, you can blend those all together once you put in the formulas and then copy and paste that in.
Yep. And Miss Vorty, hey Jane, I hope you had fun in Biloxi and all that sunshine. Yeah, you do not have to create a new classroom. You are more than welcome to just add those new students and delete those old ones. That is an option as well. Mrs. Grapp, Seth Ponder is always the problem child, you guys. Mrs. Grapp, they will receive an email. So if I were to invite all of these students right now, they will receive an email. It will also automatically show up once I invite them. It will automatically show up on their homepage. So there was an email sent stating that students can just go to classroom.google.com and all their new classes will be here, and they just have to click the accept button. So that's one, or you can ask them to check their emails and they will have an email invite as well. Do you know how to answer this archived class question, Tara? Can you use an archived class for a current class, same subject? I know you can reuse post, but can you copy the entire class? You're muted.
Sorry, thanks. I would just want a little bit more clarification. Do you want to reuse the posts, or do you want to take the class and copy the class as like a brand new one? So if you want to just kind of clarify a little bit in the chat, and then we'll come right back to your question.
Perfect. So another thing, after you invite all of your students, you may also want to adjust your notifications. So you click on those 3 lines in the upper left-hand corner, and you go down to this settings this time, and you'll see your notifications, and you may want to change those per class. You can turn them on and off for each course, or you can leave them all off, just so that you don't get 100 emails a day from Google Classroom, unless that's what you want, so that you know what's going on. So again, those 3 lines, and then down to settings, and it'll take you here, and you can change your notifications based on what kind of emails you want from Google Classroom. The last thing we recommend you doing when you create your new classrooms is go back to your calendar, and I would do that through those 9 dots, and then calendar, if you use your calendar. And then you will want to, if you don't want to see all of your new Google Classrooms as events, you will want to, we're slow and steady wins the race today. You'll want to uncheck the ones that you don't want to see. Maybe we'll scroll. No, we won't. Uh-oh, okay. You'll want to uncheck the ones that you don't want anymore on there. So I think it probably hasn't come over yet because I'm not seeing it, but you'll want to uncheck the calendars that you do not want. That's also a reminder to DIS and administrators who have a bajillion and one different calendars because they have their staff share. You may want to go back into your classroom or your calendar and uncheck those.
Do you want to answer these questions about archiving and copying?
Yeah, hold on. I want to read, okay. Say that again. I'm sorry, Tara.
So Renee Escalar's question about reusing an archived class. So yes. If you want to reuse, like let's say that you have a semester-long class, right, and you want to reuse it again. So if I'm in the secondary world, I'm thinking government, right? Government is a 1-semester course, but I want to reuse all the same thing. You can go into your archived classes.
So again, those were those 3 lines at the top, and then down to archived classes. I'm going to do this while she talks, just so you know.
Click on the 3 dots, and you'll notice that those are archived because they all have the hashes on them. Just so like visually, that's how I know where I am. And if you click copy, you can also restore it, but this is the better way. So if you click copy and you go ahead and just say, I don't know, copy of homeroom, that's fine, and click the copy button. It may take a little bit of time. What this does is it copies the entire class, but not the roster or the announcements. So you have all the topics in place and then all the assignments, but they come up in draft mode. So that's great because then your students aren't going to see all of the assignments pre-posted. You can choose when you want to post each assignment. So you could go through and schedule all of them. I have one ready if you want, but you may, there you go. You have it. It's the first one.
So in order to find that copy, I have to go back to the 3 lines and click on classes. And then there's my copy of homeroom. And if I go to classwork, You can see all of those are drafts. So you can see over here that it says draft. I do have to go in and publish those, whichever ones I want to use. And then if I go to people, it's just me. So you can add your new roster.
Mr. Ponder has a question about turning off posts in the stream.
Yes.
And I will say, Mr. South Ponder, that I prefer to have the condensed version. So I wanted my students to not be accessing everything from stream, but instead use the stream kind of as like my whiteboard, right? Like where you write the announcements for students that are upcoming or important. And then I wanted them to go into Classwork to access all of their assignments. So in the settings, I set mine up that way. And if you want to show.
Yep. So your class settings, your settings specific to this one course is in the gear on the upper right. And then you scroll down and you can, on the stream, you can make it so students can post and comment, students can only comment, or only teachers can post or comment. And then with the classwork on the stream, you can say show attachments and details if you want all of that on the stream. You can show condensed notifications like Tara was just talking about, or you can hide the classwork notifications altogether. So it sounds like you want the hide notifications as a teacher to help your help keep you organized, or the condensed notifications. Both are good options, Mr. Ponder. This is Mrs. Gropp. Do you mean this is independent of notifications in the Google Classroom? Are you talking about the calendar notifications, or which part are you talking about? Mr. Gorman, I had a little trouble inviting students as well when I tried it that first time. I'm not 100% sure. You can also, if you believe your students will check their email, you can always email them this link by copying it here and then pasting it into an email. You could also just try a few less students at a time, kind of just do a handful and go from there. That's my best bet. I don't think you're doing anything wrong. It says you put in your student's email. So if I'm doing Mariella and I made sure that this is the Mariella I wanted, I can just click on her. If you're trying to type in the whole thing, just make sure that you type in you have to type in the entire thing if you want to sit there and type it all in instead of clicking on the name. And that's what it is, Mr. Gorman, but you're doing a great job.
I would say that obviously you guys can see that we're having, a little bit of internet issues today and some Google Classroom issues. So, I would start with one class. If it's not working, thank goodness it was only 14 and not 34 students. I would refresh your page, try again. And splitting your screen to write that student's first name and then start their ID number is probably going to be like your best bet, especially since we have students who have the same names, or even if students have unique spellings. Like I know sometimes if students have like unique characters in their name, it may not come up right. So even using their ID number can also be helpful as well.
And as a reminder to an easy way to split your screen, I'm going to pull down a second tab just so I can do it. If you hold down this green button, hold it down, and then it will take you to a split screen. And now you got side by side. You're ready to go. And then to get out of that, you can hold this down again. Maybe. And it takes you back to a full screen.
When you do that, your browser that you leave open will go to the full screen. So you didn't lose your other window. You just have to click on that Chrome icon in your app menu at the very bottom just to get it back.
Yep, there it is. I need to.
Ms. Grapp has a question where she said that
yes,
the calendar versus the Google Classroom is what she's referring to with her question about notifications.
Yep. So I would just do both just to make sure. I don't really, it depends on how you have different notifications set up, whether it's if your calendar is going to notify you or not. It just kind of depends on how each individual teacher uses their calendar and how they have it set up and things like that. So again, it wasn't showing up on mine yet. I can refresh.
I never used my Google Calendar
I didn't either.
with my classrooms because like my students really weren't using it. I hate saying that, but they really weren't at that time. They would just go into the classroom and they could see what was upcoming by using that to-do list when I put the due dates in. And it also got really overwhelming. But what I did do was I turned off all notifications for Google Classroom except for the late work, because I would grade something, right? And then the kids would turn something in late. So I wanted to get an email reminder to go back in and see that assignment. So that I found was just something that worked for me with my organization.
And that the calendar notifications are more so maybe for your evaluators in the DIS who have 20 teachers in their assignments all over their calendar. So for example, you can see that my copy of homeroom has a class over here. So if I had assignments in that course, they would all show up here on the top of my calendar about when things are due. And sometimes that just gets a little crazy, especially for administrators whose calendars are full as it is. So just if you don't want those there, you can uncheck them and then they won't show up at all. So again, some teachers use this and some teachers don't. It just kind of depends on your preference. Nope, that Miss McCarty, your new Google Classroom does not affect any of those other products, Pearson, Epic, things like that, especially if you have them go through Clever. Clever will still be the same. If you have them use Google Classroom, just make sure that your links are still correct, that when they click on the different links, it takes them to their spots.
If you are using something like Edpuzzle or something that your Google Classroom, the rosters will be imported into that separate app, you will have to then redo, like for example, your Edpuzzle import. But something like if you're just linking the students into like your Pearson or into your Epic that exists on its own, you should not have a problem.
I saw Seth, Mr. Ponder's question. I'm going to hang off to see if there's any other classroom questions, but Seth, I promise to answer your question. Any other Google Classroom questions with transitioning to second semester? Awesome. While we let those come through, Seth is talking about using topics underneath the Classwork tab. And so your Classwork tab is where all of your assignments will be. That's where you can create your assignments, your quizzes, your questions, materials, etc., or a topic. So school information is considered a topic in this classroom, and technology is considered a topic. All of those grays are considered materials because I don't want students to turn anything in on those. I was just providing information. For me, there's a lot of different ways to use topics, and I think it depends on the teacher. And Chase and Tara, please hop in and share what you believe for each of your specific areas, because Chase is our elementary expert and Tara is our secondary expert. So I think that you could use it in terms of by the week, if you would like it that way, and have an entire week. So you could create a topic and have it be week 1, 1/5 to 1, I don't know what Friday is, 8, I do know what Friday is. And you can do it that way, and then just put everything underneath there for the week. I also think you could organize it by unit. This is being recorded, yes.
Yeah, I really think it depends on kind of what your class is. If you do things with units and maybe you do a unit every 2 weeks, and then things fall under that, you could have everything under that unit heading. You could have things by week. If you do rotating activities, then I could see having kind of maybe those major like topics being something that like I would think bell work, or maybe there's like a writing activity, something like that are those common parts of your classroom.
Or Mr. Ponder might do something with each project that he does. So I'm trying to think of like, he might call one like how do you spell Rubik's Cube, you guys? Rubik's Cube? I don't know how you spell it.
I think X, try X.
I know, maybe like that.
Yeah.
So I know that he does a huge project with Rubik's Cubes and creating them. So maybe he does a Rubik's Cube topic and then everything for that project is under it. This is how I used it as a secondary English teacher, is I would call it, I did not use Google Classroom, I used Canvas, but my modules kind of transformed to topics in Google Classroom. So I would use it as the title of the novel we were reading, or if we were talking theme, or if we were talking argumentative essays, and everything would go underneath that topic.
Yeah, and I know for elementary, what worked really well for me, I was just posting it by the day, obviously because you are teaching multiple subjects with your math, reading, if you throw in social studies or science, that way everything can just be housed there. And then if you do have a student that does miss a particular day or lesson, just everything's real easy to get back to going by the day.
So my only comment to that is Google Classroom, you can only have 100 topics. So you would have to either delete old ones or start a new Google Classroom for semester 2, because we'll run out of topics. I did not know that until this year when a teacher was like, I can't create anymore. And I was like, oh, well, Google tells me you can only have 100.
The other thing on that one, though, is if, like Chase had said, if you're doing it by the day, they do have the, some people have been putting that topic where it's like past assignment, and then you can click groups of assignments and drag them now. So what's great about Google Classroom is you don't have to go into the assignment, click on it, edit, then change the topic. You just grab it and pull it down.
Drag it, yeah. What Tara's saying is I can drag this communication and kind of drag it to technology if I want.
So I know some teachers, and so pretend like Allison where it said technology. Yeah. It was like, past assignments. So then, your students would only have the active days, maybe that week, and then the past assignment. So that might be something that might be better for elementary students, so they don't get overwhelmed. I know that some teachers were doing a topic a week and then using like emojis or codes that would say like M for Monday or a heart for Monday. And then those students would be able to see all of the red hearts belong to Monday, or all of the M's belong to Monday in like the assignment title.
I definitely think daily is better for elementary students because, elementary students I think their mindset is day by day, versus middle and high school can think at a week long. But just be aware that after 100 topics, you will run out. So just be mindful of that. What else? Ponder, did that answer your question? Are you happy with our response, or do you have better ideas?
He's such a great teacher.
He is.
Asking these great questions. And Jane Vorty, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name.
No, that's right.
Awesome job. Yes, you are correct. So on Edpuzzle, they have to be in that classroom for it to roster into Edpuzzle. So, yep, answered your own question. That's great.
She's learning. She is phenomenal.
I'm going to say this too. So I know that when I worked at Adams, the first, week or sometimes 2, students were moving their classes around. I'm sure it's the same at all other schools. So when you do have something like Edpuzzle, you have to click that import. It doesn't say like re-import or anything like that. It says import. You have to go into your settings for that class and click that import button again when you have new students. Same thing with your Google Classroom. So as students leave and come into your class with schedule changes, you're going to have to manually remove them from that class and then put in that new student.
So I'm gonna add Tara real quick. Sorry, Tara. So in order to do that, I can click this check mark, and then that actions button allows me to remove her. So again, I know Mrs. Wardy asked earlier about removing old students and adding new ones. So you just click that remove button. It'll ask you again, just make sure you are you sure you want to remove that student? Remove them. And then I can add my new student, Chase, the same way I added all of my other students. So if you want to keep your courses how they were for semester 1, or elementary teachers, or courses like the fine arts, that's another way you can manually add and delete students. So yes, Ponder, keep things organized so our parents can easily find the information, because as you know, a lot of our parents are doing their best to help our students right now.
And there's also, right, we have to keep in mind, grandparents and other kinds of caregivers. So again, keeping those topics really in user-friendly language, right? So maybe you and your students know what that kind of worded, wording means, or what that topic may mean, but just keeping in mind that maybe perhaps, some caregivers who are helping and assisting, but not on a regular basis, may not understand that fully. I always like to keep a section with like the syllabus, and then, some of those important class contact, school, class information. I always kind of keep that under a topic, and anything that I wanted to appear at the top. So you'll see like how Allison has her daily announcements. That is not assigned to a topic, so it's always going to stay right at the top of the screen. So something like maybe your attendance that students have to do might want to stay without a topic, and then it won't move as you're adding new topics or assignments.
Perfect. Any other questions? We, of course, appreciate you spending your snow day with us. We're glad. We're glad you're here. We're glad we're here. This will be recorded so that if you miss something or you need to go back, it will be on YouTube. It'll be the same link you used to join this. It'll be there forever and ever until we delete it. So it may take overnight to process and do its thing, but it should still be there. So we do not want to keep you or make this any longer than we have to. So if there aren't any other questions, Tara is going to do a little bonus of how to, did you know that? Your little bonus of how to combine those cells. Did you want to do that?
Yeah, so I'll do that.
Thank you very much. If you don't want to learn about combining cells, feel free to hop off and enjoy the rest of your snow day. It's like a real snow day. Ooh,
Yeah.
I love them. And please feel free to reach out to your digital integration specialist or the three of us. We are happy to.
Yeah, reach out to us today, but your digital integration specialist tomorrow.
Yeah. Leslie, good morning, Mrs. Miller. I hope you had a great holiday.
Oh, we have a question. Yeah, so just as Allison said, like if you guys want to leave, totally fine. But if you want to stay, we'll stay on as long as needed and answer some questions. So somebody did say that they had a question.
Yes, Mr. Schulte, I saw that.
Oh, Ms. Gropp, a PDF is basically like, think of it as like a document that becomes like a picture. So that's what everything gets exported into, and it's not really editable. But if you export rosters in Excel, then you can edit it much more easily.
I think it depends on how much your class changes, Mr. Schulte. And I also think, I'm not sure how Riley specifically is doing tomorrow, if they're having that altered schedule to get schedules passed out. So that might be an administrator question, but remember when you invite your students, it's going to send them an email, and it's also going to automatically go to their classes page. So I think creating these today and then kind of making sure that your students are accepting the invite and whatnot is going to be super beneficial. Also, coming back from break, there probably should be some social emotional learning lessons and building those relationships and going over those classroom expectations and things like that. So you can use that as a way to make sure that they're inside of your Google Classroom as well. Oh, I will work on that, Mrs. Gropp, your professional development certificate. This was super last minute, so we didn't really discuss that. But we'll
get an answer.
Yeah, we'll get an answer for you. It is a snow day, so ice day, Mr. Logston. All right, have a great rest of your day. Please hang out if you have any other questions or want to see Tara's bonus material.
Yeah. Real quick, just for Larry Venor, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. I'm the worst at last names, and I have like a really hard last name too. So what I would say is that's up to you, right? If you don't want to archive your old classes right now, that's fine. I get overwhelmed with the amount of classes that I would see. So even if you archive them, they're still available. You're not deleting them. So don't delete your classes because you want to maintain all of those records and that communication with those students. So just by archiving them, you can still pull up all of those the topics, the assignments, anything you can reuse. All right. I'm trying to assign an Edpuzzle and it won't let me. Well, if you're
rolling dots, I think it's really Edpuzzle might be having a moment if it's just rolling dots. Also, when was the last time you restarted your computer, Mrs. Vorty?
All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. This is something fun. Again, please leave. You all don't need to be paying attention to this if you don't want to. Can you see that okay? Okay. So what I did, remember, is I exported my student roster. Now, these are fake students, okay? So I exported my student roster from Unified Classroom in an Excel format. Then I went to my drive and I uploaded that file. So that way I now have it as a Google Sheet. But what's really great is there's this formula, okay, in Google Sheets, and it works in Excel too. It's called the concatenate, right? So you will write this formula and then the cells that you want to blend together. So for example, I'm going to want to join in the Natalie and then her student number, right? So if I start writing the concatenate right here, then I want to choose the cell that I would like to use, which is going to be this one, right? B in row 3. So column B, but row 3. You put a comma, and then you put in the second value or cell that you want to blend together. And in this case, it's going to be her ID. So then I would say it's column C, row 3. You close it with a parentheses, and then you get these two mashed together. I can then take this and drag it down. So I take this cell, but you see it's the formula, and I take this little blue square and I drag it down. And now I've just copied my formula into the entire spreadsheet. The other thing that I want to show you guys is that when you get your students' names, we'll just do, I'll add the easy ones right here for me. They're going to come out with their last name and then a comma, and you'll have their first name. So to split this information into the two columns, like you see here, where it's last name, which is the last, and then the first name, you need to insert a blank row because the data has to be able to jump into a new column. So you'll insert, you'll insert a new column. And so what you'll do is you'll insert a new column, so you'll have these blank. You highlight, go up to data, and you want to go to split text to columns. What's super cool is that Google will automatically recognize that comma that's in the name and know to split it there. So if I click on that, you see that now I have last names in a column and first names. To add these email addresses, right, if you want to copy them and paste them, to add them to the student email ending, what you'll want to, whoops, my computer is acting crazy. What you'll want to do is you will want to then blend this column with another set of text, right? So what I could do is I can just put in the at students.sbcse.k12.in.us, and I can copy this all the way down, and I can merge the values again together using that same formula that I did. Now I want to combine D2 and E2. So I'm going to go D2, comma, E2. And now I have all of the students' email addresses. I can just copy these and paste them into my Google Classroom. So that's one thing that you guys can do that might be simple. And if you have your students' names, you can go ahead and change this. So let's pretend that I want to make this be Kim. I don't know. Actually, we'll just go Mary, and then you'll see that it changes automatically. So you could even just keep these formulas the same and refill in this information.
That was awesome. I learned something new today.
Yeah, I love Google Sheets. They're the powerhouse. I know Brad Cogdell could probably teach you all a lot more than I could about Google Sheets. They're what I love.
Yes. All right. Any last minute questions before we end this broadcast, this live? And just a reminder, this will be recorded. It'll process and be on YouTube using the same link that you used to get here this time. Awesome. Have a great day. Have a great second semester. And we appreciate you spending your time with us this morning. Bye.